Shabbat Shalom and Happy New Year. Welcome to 2020. Hard to believe. I was looking through my hutch and there were our little champagne glasses when we toasted in the year 2000. And wow, I don't know how that happened. We are a busy temple. We got lots going on. But first I want to thank Paul Friedman for sponsoring the lovely flowers, pretty colors, in honor of Marlene Mincher's birthday. Happy birthday, Marlene. And also thank you to Doug and Joanne Kotkin for sponsoring the Onig in honor of Sammy's semester abroad in Israel. How exciting for her. I have been asked to announce to the sisterhood meetings that there is no general meeting on Wednesday. If you come on Wednesday, you'll be sitting in on the brotherhood meeting, so you can do as you wish. And then coming up on Sunday, January 12th, Sisterhood will be having this silk scarf painting for which you should have already RSVP'd if you're already coming. I've also been asked to make some other announcements. On Sunday, the 19th, Adult Education is presenting the 1-month scholar who'll be talking about women in Israel's history. Should be very interesting. I'm really sorry that we will be out of town that weekend. Also, I was asked by the membership committee to let everyone know that a new membership directory is available. Contact Dee in the office if you'd like one either emailed or sent a hard copy to you. And also coming up at the end of the month, on the 31st, I believe, membership committee is having a free dinner, dance, and song, lots of fun, Israel night. No? January 25th? Thank you. Oh, that's right. She didn't give me a date. Sorry, and I forgot to look. Okay, Saturday the 25th. Okay. An Israel night, complete with dinner, dance, and song. This is a membership committee event. It is free to all members. This is our annual membership event. However, if you do not respond on time or you bring a guest, it will be $5 at the door. But we do hope to see you there. It should be lots of fun. I know that I'll be there because if you offer me Israeli food, I'm going to eat it. We wish Rabbi safe travels and Deborah, as next week they're off with the confirmation class to Washington, D.C. for the annual Litaken seminar. So I hope you will be here next week because I will be leading the service and I don't really want to talk to an empty room. Thank you, as always, to Rabbi and Cantor for what are always lovely services, as well as Ray tickling the plasticine over there. So Happy New Year to you all and Shabbat Shalom.
And Shabbat Shalom, Dina, and thank you very much. Yes, happy couple days after St. Sylvester's Day. Yeah, it says St. Sylvester's Day. We didn't know about St. Sylvester until we spent the year in Israel, but January 1st is St. Sylvester's Day. Because if you celebrate a Jewish calendar, Rosh Hashanah is Rosh Hashanah in September or October, the beginning of the year. January 1st is not the beginning of the Hebrew year. And so it turns out that is St. Sylvester's Day. And you might ask, who was St. Sylvester? This is indeed a very good... Oh, Victoria doesn't know this? Oh. So count with me, folks. December 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st. January 1st is how many days after? St. Sylvester was the mohel who circumcised Jesus.
That's trivia we really needed to know.
I thought you should, absolutely. Because I didn't know about this until I lived in Israel, and that's when I learned about St. Sylvester. Right, so you heard it here first, Temple Beth War. Now you know, January 1st, St. Sylvester's Day, the Brit ceremony for little baby Jesus, who would have been circumcised on the 8th day, which is January the 1st. So there you go. See? Just a bastion of knowledge. Now you know. Now you know the rest of the story. No, we're not going to sing that, Cantor. Anyway, truly, Happy New Year. It's 2020, the year of hopefully clear vision. We can hope. This year will be the year of clear vision, yes. The year of of clarity, the year of focus, a year of focus for us, 2020. That should be good. No one's made any real jokes about that yet, so I'd like to think I'm on the cusp of something here, Cantor. Oh, well, rabbis have no restraint. And so you've heard that, so now you've learned two different things here this very evening. But on this Shabbat, we are grateful for the opportunity to welcome the end of our week, but also the first Shabbat of January and the first Shabbat of 2020. What more could we ask for on this wonderful evening? And, well, we have those. We have song sheets. Hopefully as you entered our sanctuary, you also picked up the white song sheet. This will be at the end of our service. We want to begin this evening, however, before we get to the end. We actually want to have a beginning. We got to have a beginning before we get to the end. Although, this is, since this is the first Shabbat of the year, we can quote, I'm blanking on the band's name, but we can quote the line, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. It wasn't. I will check in a moment. Yes, it wasn't the verb. It wasn't the verb. And so we welcome this Shabbat with the singing of Lecha Dodi. What better way to greet Shabbat? Yeah, closing time, right. Definitely not the verb. What better way to welcome Shabbat in this new year than to greet Shabbat as if it were indeed a presence, a special friend we welcome into our lives. On page 20 in our Sidurim, in our prayer books, we will find the words to Lecha Dodi. Shabbat needs no doorway to enter. I invite us to rise as we are able and face the doorway in the back of our sanctuary so as we might welcome the presence of Shabbat.
Oh
We may face the front. We may be seated. As we continue our welcoming of Shabbat with the lighting of our Shabbat candles, I invite us to turn back to page 3 in our Sidurim, our prayer books, as I invite Paul Friedman and Marlene Mencher to join the cantor and I on the bima as we light our Shabbat candles and welcome the light and the warmth of Shabbat.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת.
Marlene, as you know, living in modern times, we don't let an occasion like this go by without appropriate paperwork so that we can always refer to the fact that the moment did indeed take place. And so we have for you our world-famous birthday certificates. Yom Huledet Sameach, happy birthday to you. We read in Psalm, Zeh hayom asa Adonai nagila v'nismech avo. This is the day Adonai has made, a day for us to rejoice and be glad, although it was yesterday, was it not?
It's the fifth.
At the 5th. Okay, sorry, a couple of days yet to come. Wow. God of days and years, author of life, we thank you for the blessings of life and for all that enriches our lives. We gather today to share in the happiness of Marlene Mincher, Meira Bat Shmuel V'Tova in celebration of her birthday. Far be it from me. May Marlene be blessed with health and happiness and with the strength to overcome sickness and sorrow. With your presence at her side, may Marlene be blessed to see her world in her lifetime. May Marlene's heart act wisely, her lips speak wisdom, and her tongue whisper songs. And may her vision always be toward the future, her eyes shine with the light of Torah and her face glow like the splendor of the heavens. May Marlene be blessed with wholeness, contentment, peace, and above all with shalom, celebrated this 7th day of Tevet, the 3rd day of January, in the presence of your congregation, Marlene. We present to you our certificate signed by myself, our cantor, and our president, Dina. We wish you a hearty mazel tov and congratulations on your special birthday as we join together as a congregation in the words of our prayer of gratitude, our Shehechianu blessing, praising God for giving us life, sustaining us, and enabling us to reach this day on the 5th.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu vekimanu vehigianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu vekimanu vehigianu lazman hazeh.
And Marlene, to you we say mazel tov. Congratulations. Our service continues on the bottom of page 9. As we read together, we offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and in hope, for Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories glowing even in the darkness, for Shabbat peace born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessing, O God. We continue on page 28 with the words of our Baruch Hu. I invite us to rise as we are able for our call to worship. Our service continues on the top of page 31 as we read together. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and seasons glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. We continue on page 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Please be seated.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha ve'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'beitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beinenecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai vitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lichot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
Our service continues on the bottom of page 39 as we read responsively. In a world still torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered, and at Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Though our failings may be many and our faults might be great, it has nevertheless been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
ba bim bim bum, ya ba bim bum, yai lie the lie lie lie, ya ba bim bum, yai lie the lie lie lie, ya ba bim bum, mi chamocha b'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot sefele, nora tehilot sefele, malechutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam, ze'eli anu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, ya ba bim bim bam, ya ba bim bam, ya ba bim bim bam, ya ba bim bam, yai lai la lai lai lai, ya ba bim bam, yai lai la lai lai lai, ya ba bim bam.
Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. As we come to the end of our day on this Friday, as we prepare to welcome Shabbat, the calmness and the peace and the quietude of Shabbat into our lives, as we prepare for truly the end of our day when we return to our homes, safely curl ourselves up into our beds for a nice night of hopefully restful sleep, I share with us this thought. Oh God, help me to let go of my preoccupations with the future. Give me the strength, O God, to stop my futile attempts to predict and to control the future. Help me to see no value in my plan of what the future should be, and rid me of my senseless questions about tomorrow, and of all my desires to manipulate and to control others. Remind me, O God, that my fears and uncertainties of tomorrow are only related to my unfounded fear of you. Help me, O God, help me to be still. Help me to listen. And above all, help me to love. Awaken me to the truth of your presence being only in the now, the here of this very moment. Lift me into your arms and remind me that I am your creation and that I am the perfection of love. Help me to acknowledge that I am your messenger, O God, your messenger of love, and free me to shine your light everywhere I go. Help me to feel your presence within me, and help me to laugh, O God, to laugh at the illusions that my ego once made me feel were so very, very real. Oh God, help me. Help me to be the light. Help me to be the joy. And let me know, O God, that I am the reflection of you wherever I go. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom aleinu v'al amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim.
V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, לברית עולם ביני ובין בני
Our rabbis envisioned that the worship service would kind of be like an appearance in the heavenly court. They tried to translate Yerushalayim Shalamala, the Jerusalem of above, to Yerushalayim Shalamata, the Jerusalem of below. And so there are things that we say that are meant to kind of warm us up to this idea. And when we get to this point, our rabbis envisioned that this is the point that we would feel ourselves drawn even closer to God's presence. To bring us into this time of prayer, I share this thought. They say we're supposed to be in a palace, and so we bow and take certain steps as the prescribed supplication drops from our lips. But what do we really know of castles and kings? My kitchen faucet constantly leaks. The kids' faces usually need to be cleaned. And if a door opened to a real palace, I would probably forget and carry in a load of groceries. No, the door we stand in front of when the Amida begins is the doorway to silence. And when we open it and step through, we arrive not at some distant palace, but rather we arrive in our hearts. Mine's not a fancy palace, no jewels, no throne, certainly not fit for a king or a queen. But in that small chamber, for just a few brief moments on Shabbat, God and I can roll up our sleeves, put some schnapps on the table, sit down together, and finally talk without interruption from the outside world, without tasks to distract me, without a do list for me to constantly refer to, without the phone ringing, without feeling compelled to answer emails. And that is palace enough for me. We continue on page 46 and following, as I invite us to rise as we are able, as we continue with our tefillah, the Amidah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Vekonei Hakol Vezocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem Lema'an Shemo Beyahava Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai Mechaye HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia Mashiv haruach umorid hagashem. Mechalkel chayim bechesed. Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofech olim. Umatir asurim. Umekayem nemunato lishenei afar michamocha ba'gevurot umido melach melech memit umechayeh umatzmiach Yeshua v'ne'emanata l'hachayot hakol Baruch ata Adonai Mechayeh hakol Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh Ukedoshim bechol yom Yehallelu chasela Baruch ata Adonai Ha'el hakadosh.
Please be seated. Our service continues on page 55. Disturb us, Adonai, ruffle us from our complacency. Make us dissatisfied. Dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from the shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai. Deny to us the false Shabbat which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Help us to know that the border of this sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Instead, let your Shabbat be a time to be stirred and spurred into action. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. We continue on page 59 as we read together at the top of the page. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, ulcha na'eh lehodot. Our service continues on page 60. My simple prayer is that in all things I learn to love well, that I learn to touch the ever-changing seasons of life with a great heart of compassion, that I live with the peace and justice I wish for all the earth, that I learn to care fully and to let go gracefully, that I enjoy the abundance of the earth and return to it from the natural generosity that is our human birthright, that through my own life, through joy and through sorrow, in thought, in word and in deed, I might bring benefit and blessings to all that lives, that my heart and the hearts of all beings learn to be free. We include in our prayers of shalom, of peace and wholeness, those whose peace and sense of wholeness and well-being has been disturbed, perhaps even shattered by the challenges they are facing. The words to our Misha Berach, our prayers of wholeness and healing, can be found on page 253 in our prayer books, in the middle of the page. And I invite you during the musical interlude between the paragraphs to share aloud the name of a loved one who is in need of prayers for wholeness and for healing. Thus we might bring them here into this space and into our hearts at this time. May all who are facing challenges to their health and their well-being be blessed on their journey, a journey that will bring them to a refuah shlema, to a return to the wholeness they seek, the shalom that they desire. Baruch atah Adonai rofei hacholim. We praise you, O God, who helps us bring hope and healing and strength and courage to those who are in need. And let us say, Amen. We prepare for a special moment in our worship service when we have an opportunity to, instead of reading and doing and singing, we have the opportunity to just simply be. To be with our thoughts, to reflect on the words that we have shared, to hear the echo of those melodies so that we might become closer in tune to the words of our hearts and the melodies of our souls. To bring us into this time of quietude and reflection, I share this thought. I have in my hand 2 boxes which God gave me to hold. God said, "Put all of your sorrows in the silver box and all of your joys in the gold." I heeded God's words, and in the 2 boxes, both my joys and my sorrows I stored. But though the gold became heavier with each day, the silver was as light as before. With curiosity, I opened the silver. I wanted to find out why. And I saw at the base of that box a hole, which my sorrows had fallen out by. I showed the whole to God, and I mused, I wonder where all of my sorrows, my tsuris, my troubles could be. God smiled a gentle smile and said, my child, they are all here with me. I asked, why? Why, God, why did you give me the 2 boxes? Why the gold and the silver with the hole? God replied, my child, the gold is for you to count your blessings. The silver is for you to let go. And so we pause. As always, absolutely beautiful. Cantor and Dr. Ray, thank you very much for always the music you bring. What a beautiful way to begin our year. What a fabulous, fabulous Shabbat service. Thank you both very, very much. And indeed, what a wonderful transition it is for us to say goodbye to last year and hello to this year, albeit on some rather odd notes, especially for those of us in the Jewish community. This has been very, very strange times in which we find ourselves when Jews are under attack in New York and around the world, where houses of worship are regularly desecrated with acts of violence and gunfire. This is indeed a very strange time in which we find ourselves. It seems like we human beings just can't quite overcome this desire for violence and the teaching of hate and intolerance. Some sociologists have speculated that the outbreak that we have seen of acts of violence against minorities, and especially us Jews, is because these violent groups, these national supremacist groups, these white supremacist groups are in the process of dying, and they're in their death throes and want to make themselves relevant. And so they lash out to make sure that they get their name in the press and that people still know that they are still here. Indeed, I do take some comfort from the fact that in the 1930s, these acts of violence against Jews were met with silence. Now these acts of violence are met with an outcry of support for the Jewish community and a condemnation of these very acts of violence against us. I take some courage in that, but it's not enough to dispel this growing tide of hatred that we seem to be continuing to live under. We keep hoping that things are going to get better. We keep working to make things better. We have organizations dedicated to the sole purpose of helping to make life better for us all. And then there are those of us who wish to act on their more violent tendencies. I read from a psychologist an idea that a lot of these acts of violence have their root in depression, that people's individual depression gives rise to anger, which then manifests itself in these acts of violence, that we have a real depression problem going on. Not the great economic depression, but rather a personal and spiritual depression taking place within human beings, within people of this very country. For whatever reason, their hopes and expectations of what life was supposed to be, their desire that God was supposed to fix all of these things, or that there is no God and violence is supposed to be the way, whatever is at the core, this is manifesting itself in these horrible acts of violence against people who certainly did not ask for it, whoever does, but targeting against us as a key people. We have been the world's whipping boy for so many centuries. We thought we had overcome so much of that. And here we are face to face with this very ancient and ageless and undying hatred. In my studies of anti-Semitism, which go back well before the church, the anti-Semitism that we have in the world today actually originates itself not only in ancient Egypt, but also in ancient Greek Empire days. Our holiday of Hanukkah celebrates our refusal to assimilate to Greek way of life, to become Hellenistic Jews. And yet that very stubbornness of our people and our desire to hold on to our beliefs evoked the ire and the hatred of the ancient Greeks, who thought that their way of life was far superior to ours. How dare we reject what we were being offered? But really, when it comes down to it, anti-Semitism is really a phobia. It is a phobia. It is a fear of a stranger, fear of something different, fear of a group of people that are different, fear of something, anything that is different. And the only way to cure a phobia is if the patient, the individual, wishes to be cured of that phobia. Ask my family. I have a horrible phobia of spiders. I still scream when I find them. But I can now actively kill them. Whereas previously, I would not even have the courage to do that. And that phobia manifests itself not only in arachnids, but also in scorpions when I lived in El Paso, Texas. Scorpions. There are scorpions there. No one should live there. Oh, I'm sorry. Those of you who may be viewing from El Paso, Texas, my sincere condolences for living with scorpions. But they're there. They're not worse than a bee sting. I'm happy to say, the scorpions in Texas. But scorpions are my science fiction nightmare as a kid. You know, giant scorpion attacking cities. And so here it is, you know. Deborah and the kids were still in Florida visiting my parents, and I was back home in El Paso because of a life cycle event that I had to officiate at. And as I'm getting ready for bed, I see crawling down the wall over my bed a scorpion. And the resident scorpion killer, Deborah, was in Florida. And so I was faced with a dilemma. Hotel, or come to grips with my fear. The hotel was very nice. So I grabbed my shoe, stood on my bed, and with all the force I could muster, put an indent in the wall with a smashed scorpion, like some fossilized horror from past, secured in the wall. And I was so proud of myself, I left it there. I went to bed with the scorpion dead on the wall. And then the next day rented the movie Arachnophobia so that I could continue my healing process. But that required great steps on my part to overcome my fear and phobia. What happens with people who have this phobia, this anti-Semitism, they don't desire a cure. They aren't convinced that there is anything wrong with them. They believe that hating Jews and minorities and immigrants and you fill in the blank is an appropriate thing for them. Raised on hate, they continue to hate, trying to perhaps address their internal depression that they are no better than any other human being on this planet. This is something our rabbis tried to teach us thousands of years ago. It's an amazing thought. A group of rabbis together come up with this particular teaching. All of human life comes from a common source. We come from Adam and from Eve. In Judaism, both of them created male and female at the same time. Unlike how many religions view the story of creation, in Judaism and according to Jewish tradition, male and female were created at the same time, implying equality. Adam's rib is not Adam's rib in the Hebrew. The Hebrew word is side. And what takes place in the creation of female is God does something to Adam's side. Not just a rib, not a bone, but rather the entire side. Again, equality. And the urban myth that males have fewer rib bones than females or vice versa is truly that an urban myth. Human beings have the exact same number of rib bones, whether you are male or female. So the rabbis teach we all come from a common source. This, teach our rabbis, so that no one can say, my lineage, my heritage, my religion, my language is better than yours. From the rabbis, they could have said Judaism is the best of all, but no. They said no one can make that claim. Even more, in the Midrash, God takes earth from the four corners to create human beings. Brown, yellow, red, black. All of this mixed together in human beings. Beautiful teachings. Beautiful teachings that have been so horrifically distorted throughout time. I am hopeful. I always remain hopeful. I reflect on my encounter with Elie Wiesel, alav hashalom, when he was alive speaking at Chapman University. A group of rabbis had gathered with Elie Wiesel. He was talking to us about life, and so one of our rabbis asked Elie Wiesel, and this was back in 2009, so long before this spate of violence. We were living with violence nonetheless, but not as increased as it is and has been these last couple of years. And the rabbi asked Elie Wiesel, do you feel optimistic about the times in which we're living, or do you see the resurgence of the 1930s in Europe? And Elie Wiesel said, I am optimistic. This stunned some of the rabbis who were there. How could you possibly say this when Jews are being shot and attacked and killed? Elie Wiesel said, yes, there will always be people who will hate. We live in a world of tremendous freedoms. We have the freedom to be as wise or as stupid as we want to be. There will always be people who will choose to hate. But today, when a Jew is killed or attacked, when a synagogue is defaced, when a church is shot, Everybody is speaking out. Whereas in the 30s, no one spoke out. So maybe this is the death throes of these hate groups. Maybe we are at a pivotal edge. And these hate groups, in order to establish themselves and lay claim to their right to exist, are going to exit this world kicking and screaming. Maybe we are at this point. All I know is more and more people are sick and tired of it, and more people are speaking out about it. And maybe that's what it will take. More and more people speaking out. May we have the strength and the courage to join our voices with those who are speaking out against these acts of hatred, whether it is violence against Jews in Muncie, New York, or a church shooting, whether it is a mosque or a temple, wherever it takes place. We should be speaking out because we know this. We've been here before. And it's only when we are able to speak out with other voices that we will finally be able to drown out these voices of hatred. Let them retreat under their rocks. Let them go back into their caves where they belong and live out their medieval lives, leaving the rest of us alone. Shabbat Shalom. It is the first Friday in January 2020, and it's only the 3rd of this month. So, if you are celebrating something this month, birthday, anniversary, retirement, mortgage burning, car loan payment, trip to Israel, if you are celebrating something this month, this would be a great opportunity to come and join the Cantor and I on the Bima so that we might learn more about what it is you're celebrating and so that we might mark that with appropriate blessings. You guys have done a good job tonight. So the microphone will come to you. Please tell us your name and what you're celebrating, and if you are so brave, how many years or times you are celebrating whatever it is you're celebrating.
I'm Sandy Strauss. These are my granddaughters, Ava and Isla, and they're going to be turning 4 on January 18th. And Grandma's going to be turning 70 on January 18th.
Nicely timed, nicely timed.
I'm David Scharf, and I'll be celebrating a little bit further than they are. 79.
I'm Samantha Kotkin, and on the 26th, I'll be leaving to Israel for 4 months.
I'm Larry Polikoff, and on the 24th of January, I'll be 85.
Yeah, in 4 days, January 7th will be 47 years since I quit smoking.
Good for you, Joe. Good for you. For all of these wonderful occasions, opportunities to celebrate birthdays and trips to Israel and anniversaries of good health, we share again our Shehechianu, praising God for giving us life, sustaining us, and enabling us to celebrate these wonderful occasions.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu vekimanu vehigianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu
Mazel tov to all of you on your birthdays, on your trip, and on your good health. We turn in our prayer books to page 282 as we continue with the words of our Aleinu. The adoration can be found on the bottom of page 282, and I invite us to rise as we are able. Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth, those who live on in our hearts and in our memories, and in the place we call Olam Haba, the world to come. The words to our Kaddish can be found on page 294. As we call to mind those for whom we are observing the Shiva and Shloshim, the 7 and 30-day periods since their death, Rebecca Lomeli, friend of Eileen and Lillian McNella, and Jerry Robinson, the brother of Sandra Block. To those names, we link the names of those whose yahrzeits have occurred during this past week. Kay Klepak, Sylvia Marcia Shaw, Ray Goodman, Albert Kramer, Tanya Ursus, Mar So-Wan Ham, Sylvia Piltz, Ida Berman, Rudolph Bornstein, Marcia Kendall, Janice Pivo, Beatrice Caesar, Joy Ann Seidman, Pearl Melnick, Golda C. Gelbart, Harry Weinstein, Salvador Hanan, Mary Koizem, David Dean, Harry D. Levin, Frida R. Schenfeld, Teresa Feuerman, Chaya Malka Berman, Benjamin Kurtzman, Max Jacobson, Kayla Greenspan, Ian Shine, Ronald Mark Zaret, Harold D. Darby, Louis I. Sokol, Sidney Rosenbaum, and Carolyn Tischler Klein. We add to those names those for whom we are observing the Kaddish period: Madge Evelyn Tatum Lenegro, Shirley Grossberg, Shirley Altanu, Muriel Balaban, Nick Scotto, Inga Spiegel, Adrian Casson, Florence Sachs, Cam Craig, Annette Raymond, Irving Drobny, Bernard Beskin, Nancy Zinberg, Howard Brookfield, Eric Lertzman, Sandra Lertzman, Michael Lertzman, Paula Marcus, Don Kessler, Catherine O. Salisbury, George Sachs, Adrian Henschel, Murray Gimbel, Margaret Hershkowitz, and Dr. Gerhard Paskus. If there's a loved one whom you are remembering, I invite you to share that name at this time. To those that we have named aloud and to those that we keep named in the quiet places of our hearts and memories, we link as well the names and memories of the men and women of our armed forces who have given their lives for our liberties and our freedoms, those who have given their lives for our safety here at home, members of our police, our firefighters, and other first responders, and of course the members of the Israeli Defense Forces who continue to give their lives for the hope of peace. Zichronam levracha. May their memories always be for a blessing as we share together the words of our Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehi shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach. V'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal. Shemei dekudasha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shmaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen. May all of us who mourn and all of us who are bereaved, may we find through God's presence a source of strength, courage, and hope. Above all, a source of shalom, of peace, and let us all say, Amen. We conclude the service. Yes, David.
I want to mention that Susan and Phil are watching us live.
Ah,
While you were up there, they are celebrating January 6th, their 40th anniversary.
okay. So, although Susan and Phil are no longer living with us, they have moved to some other state. See? They've moved to some other state. We wish them all truly well as they celebrate their 40th, did you say?
Yes.
40th anniversary. Mazel tov, Phil and Susan. As we stand on the threshold of this year, 2020, let us conclude with the singing of our hope for what this year could be. Wait and see what a world this can be. If we care, if we share, you and me, and I invite you to put your arms around the shoulder of someone next to you. Hold the hand of someone who needs to remain seated as we conclude with Bashana Haba'ah.
בשנה הבאה נשב על המרפסת ונזמור ציפורים נודדות. ילדים בחופשה ישחקו תופסת בין הבית לבין הסודות. תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. Soon the day will arrive when we will be together and no longer will we live in fear. And the children will smile without wondering whether on that day new dark clouds will appear. Wait and see what a world this can be if we care, if we share, you and me. תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
As you leave, be sure you look at the camera there in the wall. Don't shut us off yet, David. Wave hi to Phil and Susan up in the frozen state of Washington, where we are basking in 70-degree weather today. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in this social hall for a lovely Kiddush Oneg, hosted in honor of our own Samantha Kotkin, who will be departing for Israel later this month. She's going to spend a semester in Israel, and I am so envious. And we wish to invite Samantha Kotkin to join the cantor and I here. Samantha, be sure to pick up a juice or wine, as is your preference. So, all right, good. That's fine. Juice and wine are a symbol of joy and happiness. And as we gather with Samantha Kotkin, she is about for a semester in Israel. Sorry, it's not having